The street was quiet. Stars hung above the rooftops. Torchlight trembled across the old brick buildings and glimmered on the damp cobblestones. It was 1708 in the city of Mantova. 6 young Austrian soldiers stood off to one side, their blue and gold uniforms catching the firelight. Nearby, their horses waited, saddled, still, tethered in pairs beneath the shuttered windows. Down the street, a 2-story house stood in shadow, its storefront closed for the night. A small plaque by the door bore a single name, Giro. From an upper window, a pale light flickered against the dark. Then, cutting through the stillness, came the cry of a woman in mortal pain. In a small bedroom upstairs, a girl of 18 sat upright, propped on one elbow, her eyes wide, her face drawn with worry. She was slight and pale, with refined features and skin that seemed nearly translucent in the silvery glow from the window. Her ash-brown hair spilled over her shoulders, moonlight slipping through the glass to trace the line of her delicate face. 2 loud knocks broke the silence.
Come in.
Her bedroom door flew open, and Signor Giro stumbled in, his lamp nearly falling from his grasp, his other hand smeared with blood. A bright stain marked the side of his nightshirt, and his face was gripped with fear.
Your mother needs help. We need to get the midwife.
Yes, I'll go. Paulina threw off her blankets and sprang from the bed. She reached for her robe. Her stepfather lurched forward to help, clumsily shifting the lamp into his bloodied hand as he tugged the robe's fabric with the other. Signor Giro turned and bolted out of the room, down the hall. Paulina was right on his heels, her robe flying loose behind her. In the front bedroom, Bartolomea lay crumpled in the shadows beside the bed, her body twisted in agony. Her hands clawed at the floorboards as another wave of pain ripped through her. The sheets above were already stained with blood, dark patches spreading across the linen. At once, her husband dropped to her side, his hands trembling as he tried to comfort her. Bartolomea was no longer young. The soft traces of middle age had settled into her features, now drawn into a mask of suffering. Her breath came in shallow gasps, her large brown eyes glazed with fear. Helpless against the force of her agony, he abruptly looked up.
Please, hurry!
Paulina turned and fled. Her white scarf fluttered around her as she pulled it over her head, tucking away her soft brown hair as she ran down the narrow staircase and out the front door. The street outside was quiet. She ran toward the midwife's house, her scarf slipping, strands of hair breaking free and streaming behind her. She touched her fingertips to her forehead and chest in a swift sign of the cross, whispering a fervent prayer between breaths. Ahead, the 6 Austrian soldiers still lingered together. One by one, they turned toward the sound of her approach. Their eyes caught hers, but she looked away. Still whispering her prayer, she slipped through a green and gold storefront door and vanished. The soldiers exchanged murmurs. One muttered something in German that none of the others answered in words, but their laughter, brief and brittle, did not last. 2 glanced toward the door where she disappeared. The rest soon followed suit, their expressions shadowed by something unspoken. Nine years later. With Mantova now fully under Austrian rule, the Habsburg court had appointed a new patron for the province, Prince Philip of Hesse-Darmstadt. The prince arrived with a singular, overriding mission: to restore the Italian province to its former glory. As part of that grand design, he'd brought the Venetian composer Antonio Vivaldi into his service.
I know much is expected of me here, and I will give everything I have to meet those expectations. But I cannot do it alone. Grant me strength and wisdom enough to use it well. Whatever help you deem me worthy of, I will gladly accept. And if I am blessed with more than I deserve, then let me spend it in service of something beautiful. Grant me strength, grant me strength, and the wisdom I need to go on. Grant me strength, grant me courage, for I cannot do this alone. I am grateful beyond words to be here in this place. Grateful to have this opportunity. But I do have one question, a question I would love to have an answer to. What am I doing here? What am I doing here?
Antonio crossed himself, pocketed his rosary, and walked out of his room, straight into chaos. The music room unfolded before him, a sanctuary of artistic disorder. Manuscripts lay scattered everywhere, stacked on shelves and chairs, atop tables and under them, all in loose defiance of order. Music stands dotted the floor, holding errant sheets of compositions in progress. At the far end stood a fortepiano, rare and expensive for its time. Exquisite, though not spared the disarray of Antonio's working life. Nearby, a well-worn Spanish guitar leaned precariously in the corner. He was 38 now, his ginger-red hair worn loose to his shoulders. Dressed in his dark brown cassock, Antonio moved toward the nearest table and began collecting stray pages, relocating them, desk to table to another heap, the order shifting but not necessarily improving. A tap at the door announced Nika, the young maid. She entered with a tray of tea and fresh fruit, weaving carefully past him. Slight and quick-moving, with unruly curls pinned beneath a frilled cap, she had the look of someone whose hands were busy with the present, but whose ears were tuned far into the distance. Without waiting for acknowledgement, she placed the tray beside the sea of disordered papers.
"Is this good, Abbe?"
Without turning, he replied.
"Yes, thank you."
Nika turned to leave, nearly colliding with Vanessa Rossani, who had just made her entrance. Graceful at 50, with a quiet, understated beauty, Vanessa carried herself with purpose and the natural poise of someone who knew exactly who she was. As her eyes swept the room, a flicker of concern crossed her face.
"Oh,
You were hoping to have things in order by now.
I remember that.
Antonio added another cluster of papers to the already listing tower on the desk.
Oh, my goodness.
She moved to the mantel.
That's a lot of work over there.
Giving my new assistant something to do.
Antonio stood at the smaller desk, the one still awaiting its future occupant.
But you haven't even met him. Do you think perhaps an interview might be wise before handing over the position?
Signor Carboni has been music director here for a long time. I trust he's found someone qualified.
With the elegant strides of a conductor crossing a concert stage, he moved back toward his desk.
I hope you don't scare him away.
This is the work he's been sent here to do.
Outside, the morning light settled over the red-tiled roof of Antonio's new home. Built of warm brick and nestled within a colorful garden of wildflowers, the house sat quiet behind an aging stone wall. A slender woman in a long gray dress and modest gray scarf appeared at the edge of the walkway. Her steps were slow, marked by hesitation. She paused, then turned to walk away. But at the last second she faltered, glancing over her shoulder. Another moment's hesitation, and she turned to face the house again. Her gaze lingered before she pivoted, once again, and vanished from sight.
Excuse me, Abbe.
Came Nika's voice from the hall.
There is a woman here to see you.
Antonio looked up from his desk.
A woman? What does she want?
I don't know. She only said she's come to see you. Shall I send her in?
No. I'll come out.
He set the folder down and closed it carefully. A strange sensation caught in his stomach. Unexpected, almost like a blow. It wasn't dread exactly, but a vague apprehension, as if something long buried had stirred just beneath the surface. He rose and moved toward the doorway. Vanessa stood near the open garden doors. She didn't speak, but her eyes followed him as he crossed the room. He stepped into the entrance hall with purpose, gaze fixed toward the front door. But no one was there. He paused, then turned slowly, deliberately, until he faced the far end of the hall. She was there. The woman in the long gray dress sat quietly on the loveseat, almost an extension of the shadows. Her posture was modest and upright, her features striking and refined. He stood a moment before approaching her.
Buongiorno.
She rose and offered a slight bow.
Buongiorno.
She was in her late 20s now, no longer the girl she'd once been, though echoes of her younger self lingered around her eyes.
I was told you've come to see me.
Yes. My name is Paulina Trevisana. I've been sent here for the copyist position.
He felt a jolt, but concealed it well.
Oh. Signor Carboni has sent you.
Yes. I have a letter.
She reached into a simple cloth bag at her side and withdrew a folded paper. She offered it to him. Antonio accepted it, and then, instinctively, they each took a step back. He broke the seal, gave the letter a shake, and began to read. Greetings, Abbe. Thank you for your patience on this matter. I believe you will find Signorina Trevisana to be a very capable young lady. Regards, Giovan Carboni. Antonio lowered the letter slowly and looked at her again.
How are you associated with Signor Carboni?
Through my mother. She's known him for many years. She sings in his choir. She met you last year when you were invited in to work with them.
Oh, yes, when I was visiting last fall.
Yes.
Vanessa had appeared again. Antonio glanced her way, then refocused on Paulina.
Can you copy music?
I've done some copying for the choir on a few occasions.
He glanced again at the letter, as if looking for something left unsaid. Vanessa, reading the room, remained silent.
Did Signor Carboni inform you this is a live-in position?
Yes.
I see. Thank you.
Without another word, he turned and strode back into the music room. Vanessa watched him go, curiously, before she turned to Paulina.
All right. Well, what is your name again, Signorina?
Paulina.
All right, Paulina. I'll show you upstairs to your room now.
The two women began their ascent. Vanessa led the way in silence until she suddenly glanced back over her shoulder.
And by the way, I'm Vanessa.
In the music room, Antonio stood beside the smaller desk, the one intended for his new assistant. He glanced again at the letter, then let it fall beside the folders. She had so little experience. What had Carboni been thinking? And the larger concern, its appearance. A young woman, living under his roof, working at his side. Would it not be seen as improper? What would the prince think? The townspeople? His parents, with their strict expectations, would certainly have something to say upon hearing of it. But the choice had not been his. She had been sent, assigned, chosen by Carboni, a trusted member of Prince Philip's staff. For more than a decade, Antonio had worked with young women, singers, instrumentalists, girls and women, most of them living under the same roof at the Pietà. He had taught them, coached them, overseen their weekly concerts. If ever there had been opportunity for impropriety, it had not been taken. No scandal had ever touched his name. Signor Carboni had surely considered that. Nika slipped into the room.
So, is that lady going to be staying?
Of course.
But I set up the room for a man.
Yes. Thank you.
He gathered 3 folders and handed them to her. She looked down, uncertain.
This goes upstairs?
Oh, yes.
A moment later, he returned and took 2 of them back. He turned back to his desk. She lingered a moment longer.
That's it.
Vanessa and Paulina reached the mezzanine at the top of the stairs.
There will be much to do around here, besides copying the music,
Vanessa said.
Do you have other secretarial skills?
I've kept the books for my family's shop for many years. Our shop is not far from here.
Oh, very good.
They moved past tapestries and portraits until Paulina paused, caught by a particular painting.
Oh, my goodness.
You recognize that one?
Yes. I saw it when I was young. It disappeared when the Austrians came a decade ago.
Vanessa gestured to the nearby wall, lined with several others.
Apparently your prince managed to get some of these works back, from wherever it is they went.
Paulina's gaze sharpened. She turned to face Vanessa directly.
He's not my prince.
Vanessa looked thoughtful more than surprised.
Well, you're working for him now.
Vanessa continued into the room, but Paulina lingered at the painting.
How can that be?
At last, she turned and slipped through the doorway to her new quarters. Antonio walked forward to the garden doorway and stood gazing out over the tranquil view beyond his house. Quaint brick homes nestled amongst trees in full bloom, sheep grazing in a quiet meadow, and in the distance, the most majestic of Mantova's 3 lakes shimmering beneath the wide sweep of mountains. As the stillness settled over him, the weight in his chest began to lift. He closed his eyes. A melody stirred in his mind, tentative at first, then winding into complexity, growing bolder with each breath. He backed slowly into the room, the music gaining shape and momentum, until at last he turned, striding toward his desk in search of pen and paper. Antonio stood beside his desk, a music sheet in hand, quietly humming the melody unfolding across the page. He wore black today, tailored pants and a fitted vest, the soft gleam of a small crucifix at his chest catching the morning light. As the last notes settled on his breath, the humming ceased. His expression tightened as he reviewed his work. At the doorway, Paulina appeared with a folder in hand. She wore a slightly more colorful dress than before, gray-green linen today, her matching headscarf pinned back from her face. She knocked, lightly but with intent.
Come in.
She approached him and set the folder down. He offered a brief smile, just manners, before opening the folder. As his eyes scanned her work, she stepped away, drawn toward the fortepiano. She stood with her back to him, studying the instrument curiously. Antonio glanced up.
Do you play?
For a moment, it seemed no response was coming.
Sometimes.
Do you sing as well?
Not anymore.
His eyes remained on her another moment before shifting back to the work.
This is very neat work, but it took 2 days, and I do need this quantity of copying done faster.
I could work faster, if your handwriting were neater.
She replied without turning. That drew a flash of surprise. She merely moved on, scanning the disorder around the room. The mess seemed to have an unsettling effect on her. She frowned at it, shaking her head gently.
There's been so much to manage since I arrived. I haven't had the time to get anything properly organized, as you can see.
She looked over at him, prompted by the change in his voice, and she caught the dismay in his expression. Her eyes softened as she surveyed the mess once again.
I could come down next time you're at rehearsal and try to get things in better order for you.
His face brightened for a moment.
Thank you. I would appreciate that.
She waited, perhaps expecting more, but he had already turned back to the music. Without a word, she left. Sensing himself alone again, Antonio ventured a look up. Then he rose, fastened his coat, and gathered another folder. A glance toward the piano gave him pause, and from somewhere, a chamber ensemble began to play, building slowly. The rehearsal room gleamed in pale daylight. Inside, Antonio stood at the head of a small chamber ensemble, his violin leading the 5 musicians with elegant authority. Outside, the Piazza Sordello stretched wide beneath a vivid blue sky. At its far end rose the Palazzo del Capitano, a massive Gothic edifice of pale brick and crenellated roofline, its arched loggia casting deep shadows across the stone arcade below. Once the seat of the Bonocolsi family, it now stood solemn and ancient, its walls echoing centuries of civic and ducal memory. From the quiet, sun-struck square, the sound of music barely reached. A lone rider entered the piazza, a man on a white horse, his figure sharply outlined against the glare. Fredric Österreich, an Austrian officer in immaculate uniform, crossed the cobbled expanse at a steady pace, his bearing calm and assured. As he neared the old stone fountain, he dismounted with quiet control and looped the reins over a post, then, without hesitation, turned and made for the entryway of the Palazzo del Capitano. Fredric moved through the inner hallway, its frescoed vaults and marble thresholds relics of earlier grandeur. He listened as he approached. The musicians were easing to a finish. He paused at the rehearsal room doorway and looked in. He was a man of 36, upright and striking in his bearing, despite a jagged scar that cut from beneath his right eye and down across his cheek. His dark blonde hair fell in soft waves, just brushing the collar of his coat, and his deep brown eyes registered the scene with quiet interest.
Good morning, Abbé.
Antonio, seated now at the harpsichord, kept his focus on the music sheets before him.
Am I interrupting?
Oh, good morning.
Antonio went visibly blank, trying to place the man's name.
Von Österreich.
Yes.
He stepped into the room just as the last musician filed out. Antonio rose respectfully from his seat.
I'm glad I caught you before you left. How was your rehearsal today?
Good, thank you.
All of your players present?
Yes, all 5.
Right. We have 5 more arriving from Austria next week.
I'm glad to hear that. We're really not an orchestra yet.
They'll be here. And otherwise, everything measuring up?
Yes, I would say so. This rehearsal space was certainly an unexpected gift.
Yes, it's a beautiful room. I was also told your house is fairly near mine. So I know you're in an excellent neighborhood.
Fredric gestured toward the back desk.
And you have what you need here?
Yes, everything I asked for. Thank you, sir.
All right. I'll report to the prince that things are off to a strong start.
Fredric moved to leave, then paused at the door.
Anything else we can help you with?
Yes, I requested a copyist. A young woman was sent to me. She does not have such experience.
Oh. Have you asked Carboni why he selected her?
I sent him a message 3 days ago. No reply.
Oh, yes, he's out of town, I believe. Carboni is a very reliable sort of man, so I'd be inclined to think he had sound reasons for choosing her. But that said, I will speak to him about it, if you would like.
I would appreciate that, sir.
Anything else?
Just that I want the prince to understand. It will take some time.
He understands. No pressure, no rush. And no need to look worried.
He departed. Antonio remained where he was, by the harpsichord, staring at the empty room, and looking worried. The sun hung low over Mantova. A rich spring sunset spilled across the rooftops, gilding the spires and archways of the ancient city. At the tip of the peninsula, the medieval bulk of the Palazzo Ducale stood sentinel over the lakes, its reflection rippling faintly across the mirrored surface of the water. At one of the palazzo's narrow windows, a solitary figure stood. Prince Philip, tall and lean, striking, impeccably dressed in the uniform of an Austrian general, he gazed toward the horizon. Though every inch of him spoke of discipline and decorum, he possessed an informal air, a relaxed confidence born from years of military command and an aristocratic lineage. In his right hand, a letter rested, partially tucked beneath his folded arm.
Your Highness?
Came Fredric's voice from the doorway. The prince turned.
Yes, come in.
Prince Philip raised the letter between 2 fingers and moved toward his desk.
Emperor Charles has written. Shut the door.
The prince stopped in front of his desk, opened the letter with a flick of the wrist, and began to read aloud in a tone that hovered at the edge of satire.
My dear Philip, I am pleased to hear about your recent accomplishments and your latest plans for reviving Mantova as an artistic center. Good start. I appreciate your unwavering dedication, and as always, you have my full support and appreciation. However, as you are aware, Mantova is still too much dependent on Austria for her revenues, and I am hoping to see that situation dramatically improved very, very soon.
Prince Philip sat down at his desk.
He included another list of suggestions. All the usual ones already thoroughly considered, so thank you.
Fredric stood by the edge of the large desk and folded his arms across his chest.
Mantova was in decline for 3 decades. You've only been here 4 years.
The Emperor is focused on a different set of calculations.
Next time he visits, he'll see your long-term plan is worth the investment.
If we see him again.
Fredric pulled a folded note from his pocket and held it out.
This just came. From Gaustala.
As Fredric settled into a chair near the desk, the prince unfolded the letter and looked it over.
Princess Eleonora. She wants to visit again.
She enjoyed her time here. With you.
Ah!
What is it?
She discovered I've got the Red Priest here, and she's eager to see him.
Well, that's why you brought him. To draw people in.
The prince set the letter down.
Yes, well, it wasn't just my idea. I should propose to her.
What?
Marrying one of the last Gonzaga heirs, it would be good for the city. It would be unifying. The Emperor would certainly approve.
Forgive me, Your Highness, but didn't she try to kill her late husband a few years back?
The prince rifled through a drawer.
Yes, but that is all in the past.
Well, my concern is history has a way of repeating itself.
He drew a paper out of his drawer.
In that case, I'll be fine. She barely got the knife in.
Oh. All right, then.
We'll see how the next visit goes. My daughter must approve.
And your sons?
They have got their own lives now.
What about your happiness, Your Highness?
I'll be happy when my daughter is happy again. And when the Emperor stops writing me these letters.
He stared at the letter a moment, then suddenly brought his hand down firmly and swept it off the edge of the desk.
Ah!
Fredric sat staring at the page where it landed on the floor.
Shall I compose your response to him?
That would be nice.
I'll tell him how much you loved his suggestions.
Don't go that far.
Si posa al banco dell'osteria con parole di fumo e vento, senza un quattrino, solo polvere e strada e un passo che pare un destino. Dice il mio nome come fosse un rischio, ma io lo lascio parlare. È cattivo come il po' d'inverno, eppure il cuore gli va dietro. Chi non cadrebbe, chi non brucierebbe con un uomo così.
Antonio's house stood beneath a dark red and orange sunset. In the street, out front of the house, musicians were playing, their melody rising into the evening air.
A lui penso tutta la notte. Chi non cadrebbe, chi non cadrebbe, chi non amerebbe.
In the music room, the garden doors stood wide open to the fading light, letting both the trailing shadows and the sound of the music spill in. Antonio entered swiftly, his face set tight. He dropped a stack of folders on the long table and began unwinding his scarf and cape just as Vanessa appeared behind him.
I see no reason to be upset.
I'm not upset.
He tossed the garments over a chair and rubbed his brow, clearly upset.
The prince conveyed that his expectations are not unreasonable.
He's a prince. Of course they are.
Shall I close the garden doors?
He paced toward the table, shaking his head.
Antonio.
That's all right. Leave them.
Vanessa turned to the mantel to wind the clock.
This will all look different once everyone arrives.
They should be here now. And it would be nice if Carboni could answer a message. He sends me a copyist, who isn't one, and then leaves town without a word. If they weren't ready, they shouldn't have summoned me so soon.
This is all going to work out perfectly.
I'll need to schedule extra rehearsals as soon as the others arrive. Hopefully next week. I had hoped to focus on composing while I was here.
You'll have to give that up now.
At his desk, he found the folder containing Paulina's latest copywork. He opened it and began flipping through the pages. As he read, Vanessa crossed the room toward the garden doors. A tense silence filled the air as he studied the pages carefully. Finally, his expression began to ease.
This has been nicely done. Yes. When you go upstairs, will you tell her I'm pleased with this?
No, but I'll tell her when she returns. She went home to visit her family.
Antonio studied Paulina's work another moment, then closed the folder and turned toward the table. Then stopped. Something caught his eye. He looked around. The room. It was pristine. The once chaotic sprawl had been quietly transformed. Books aligned with care, folders neatly tagged. The clutter softened into order. He drifted toward the shelves and brushed his fingers against one of the labels.
Goodness.
He paused, absorbing it fully.
Well.
Another glance, another soft shake of the head. His eyes roved gently over the room. For the first time in days, the air suddenly seemed to move freely through his chest. With a deep breath, he closed his eyes and crossed himself. All across the city, church bells marked the hour as dusk settled like silk across rooftops and shutters. Here and there, lanterns flickered to life, each flame kindled by a passing lamplighter, small beacons in the gathering dusk. In the quiet quarter where the 6 Austrian soldiers had once passed, a faint warmth still clung to the air. From around the corner, Paulina emerged, drawing her headscarf protectively around her face. As she neared the Giraud storefront, its windows lit with the soft flicker of candlelight, her steps slowed. The little shop was tidy and modest, its shelves lined with ribbons, gloves, threads, and fabrics. A display of scarves and hats were arranged neatly in the window. Paulina hesitated for a moment at the threshold, then pushed the door open. From the street outside, through a pane of glass streaked faintly with age, a small figure could be seen dashing into view. 9-year-old Anna Giraud launched herself at her sister, arms flung wide, her embrace bursting with joy.
"Why didn't you come to visit sooner?"
I've been too busy,
Paulina said, brushing back her hair.
How long has Mother been gone?
"Since last night. She's rehearsing a new play. She'd been preparing for it all week."
Anna was a pretty girl, resembling her sister faintly, sharing her coloring and slender frame, but not her reserve. Anna looked outward, attentive and unguarded, a child who observed the world closely and already felt herself an important part of it. Paulina's stepfather now approached from the shelves. Time had touched him. He looked every bit of 9 years older.
Thank you for coming. I've got a great deal to manage, and I'm still training my new assistant.
He glanced back, clearly displeased at the short young man lingering near the counter.
Mother was supposed to be back by now.
Hours ago.
He glanced toward the door, displeasure simmering just beneath the surface.
There's always some good reason to be out with her friends. Always a reason not to be here.
He turned and strode away. Paulina and Anna exchanged a glance, a quiet understanding, well worn between them.
Come.
Paulina extended her hand toward the stairs. Outside, the last thread of light unraveled from the sky. The half-moon hung low and pale above the shop. Signor Giraud's new assistant slipped out the front door. A brown-haired woman approached from the lane. Inside the girl's small bedroom, the warm glow of 3 small candles softened the walls, casting gentle shadows over the bedspreads and floorboards. Anna sat on one of the 2 beds, bracelets of silver and gold arranged like treasure before her. Paulina examined them, finally pointing to the simplest of the lot.
This is my favorite.
Will you wear it?
Paulina held her arm out and Anna fastened it onto her wrist.
You're getting very good at this, Anna. Thank you.
Paulina turned and crossed to the dresser.
Did you read Mother's new play?
Yes, I read all of it. And then after that, Mother and I acted all of our scenes together.
With her back turned, Paulina removed her scarf and glanced over her shoulder. Anna was placing her bracelets back into their case carefully. Paulina opened her cape, and a slim dagger came into view, tucked at her waist. She withdrew it and slipped it into the very back of one of the drawers.
She has a large part, and I was playing all kinds of characters with her, all different ages and types of people. And one of them was this very evil, wicked villain. That one was my favorite.
And then a feminine voice came from the doorway.
And she was very convincing on that one.
Yes.
Paulina's eyes softened as she watched her mother approach. Bartolomea was in her mid-40s now, but possessed a naturally youthful air. She looked striking tonight, her chestnut hair loosely pinned, her theater coat modest but well cut. Beneath it, a glimpse of deep blue silk caught the candlelight at the neckline. Her eyes were so like Paulina's. She kissed her daughter warmly.
Paulina, it's good to see you. I missed you, my dear.
I missed you too, Mother. How was your rehearsal?
Show her your costume, Mother.
Obliging a bit wearily, Bartolomea slipped off her coat, revealing the gown in full, a bodice trimmed in silver braid and a skirt that flared gently over her hips, its hem faintly dusted from the stage.
Are you playing a princess?
A countess. Just as tiresome. But somebody has to do it.
She settled down on the bed beside Paulina, dropping her bag beside her. Her smile curved easily as she looked her daughter over.
My rehearsal went well. But let's talk about you. I want to know all about your new situation.
Oh, where to begin?
How's he been treating you?
He's been polite, I think. But in his polite way, he's rather demanding.
I would expect him to be. If you think about everything he's accomplished in Venice, all that wonderful music, it didn't write itself.
He was disappointed at my lack of experience.
Was he? What did he say?
It wasn't anything he said, but I could tell.
Well, you'll have plenty of experience soon enough.
I'm alone most of the day.
Oh, are you?
There's no one to talk to?
Just his nurse. She's been kind.
Why does he have a nurse?
I'm not sure.
I've heard he's had some sort of health trouble.
I haven't noticed it.
Well, fine. Maybe our country air is doing him good.
Suddenly remembering, Bartolomea reached into her bag and pulled out a few rolled sheets, handing them to Anna.
A new song?
Yes, dear.
Thank you.
As Anna unrolled the pages, Bartolomea's eyes slid back to Paulina. She took hold of her hand, firm and sudden.
What's wrong?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
You don't like it there, Paulina?
Anna.
Bartolomea reached over and brushed back a wisp of Paulina's hair.
You've barely had time to settle in. You can't expect to feel comfortable right away. Give yourself a little grace.
It just feels strange to be away from home.
It feels strange not to have you here.
Thank you, Anna.
Paulina, your talents are needed over there. And he is very lucky to have you. Very lucky.
Bartolomea gave her hand one more squeeze, then rose.
Anyway, I'm home now, so you can get back over there tomorrow morning. Early.
I will, Mother.
She picked up her bag and coat and headed for the door.
I can't wait to get out of this dress.
Bartolomea swept out. Paulina picked up the small candle from the bedside table and moved to Anna's side. Its glow trembled lightly between them as they studied the new song together. The first rays of morning streamed through the tall glass window behind Antonio's desk, fanning across the music room in golden spokes. He sat motionless, quill hovering over a nearly blank staff. For a long moment, nothing. Then, with a sudden burst of urgency, he began to scribble. A pause. He rubbed his eyes, then pressed on. Nika entered silently, bearing a tray of fruit and tea. She placed it on the desk's edge, then set the teacup right before him. The tea's purple hue caught his attention. He looked up.
What is this?
Signor Rossani said it will cure your headache.
Without hesitation, he took the cup and drained it. A moment later, music floated in through the open doors. Antonio turned slightly toward it, his expression shifting almost imperceptibly.
Shall I close these doors, Abbe? Sounds like the gypsies.
That's all right. Leave them.
Nika exited and Paulina appeared. Dressed as usual in modest tones, she carried herself with composure. Antonio straightened as she entered, his posture growing a bit formal. Without a word, she extended a folder. He opened it and began scanning the pages. She drifted toward the music outside, and she moved closer to the garden doors. Antonio glanced up at her, then lowered his gaze again to her work. Paulina turned her attention to the small desk. A stack of folders waited there, which she gathered and carried to the shelves. Antonio rose, stretching lightly, and looked in her direction. She glanced over at him, but he was already moving toward the doorway to view the gypsy players outside.
Paulina, I'd like you to accompany me to rehearsal today,
he said suddenly, with his gaze still fixed on the musicians outside.
We'll leave in an hour.
The road into town unspooled in sunlight. Antonio walked with steady purpose, a thick leather portfolio tucked beneath his arm. 8 paces behind, Paulina kept the same rhythm, though her head was bowed and her shawl drawn close. Antonio glanced back, then forward again. He didn't like this. He stopped. So did she, still at a careful distance.
Paulina, I'd really rather you not walk so far from me.
She kept her eyes lowered.
Where would you like me to walk?
He studied her for a moment, then closed a little of the space between them.
Is something troubling you?
I'm not used to being away from home. I've been homesick.
Oh.
Would it be possible for my sister to come and stay with us for a while?
How old is she?
9. She's very well behaved, very quiet.
Paulina grimaced. Very quiet was perhaps not an accurate description.
Well, all right, she may visit, but you must tell her I cannot be disturbed while I'm working.
You won't be.
Good. All right.
He indicated the road ahead.
Shall we?
They went on together, the countryside gently unfolding around them, trees stirred by light breezes, birds skimming low across the sky. After a while, Antonio glanced back again. She was still trailing several paces behind. He didn't like it. He drew in a quiet breath, let it out, and resigned himself. She could walk where she wished. He would not stop her. And she, with equal resolve, would not close the distance. The trees had begun to turn, their thinning leaves drifting gently down as the season changed. In the garden, beside Antonio's house, the wind stirred through the tall walnut tree, brushing one long branch insistently against the outer wall. Early light broke slowly through the mist, dim at first, then brighter, and as the wind calmed, a ladder appeared faintly through the dissolving haze. Someone was on it. Vanessa balanced near the top, clad in boy's trousers and a white shirt, a hatchet poised in her hand. The sharp crack of the branch echoed as she struck it cleanly near its base. Another swing, this time a slight miss. From the road, a lone figure approached at a steady trot. Fredric Österreich drew rein at the edge of the yard, his sharp gaze narrowing as he took in the scene. He was dressed in his familiar blue uniform, the coat catching the early light as he dismounted. A flicker of pain crossed his face, and he pressed a palm to his right shoulder, moving it over the area. Then, squaring himself, he walked toward the tall ladder rising into the tree's dense canopy. Another swift chop. Then Vanessa looked down and saw him.
Stand clear down there.
He stepped back just as the heavy branch crashed to the ground, followed by the clatter of the hatchet. A moment later, she descended the ladder in quick hops and landed lightly before him. She gave him a casual smile.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Is it safe for you to be up there like that?
She tilted her head, brushing dust from her sleeves, eyes curious.
Who are you?
I'm Fredric, Österreich. And you?
Vanessa. Rossoni.
She smiled as she pulled off her hat, sending loose wisps of hair into the morning breeze.
Oh, my goodness. It got warm up there.
She nodded toward the fallen branch.
But that was a job that needed doing.
Are you the groundskeeper here?
I am. For today, anyway.
Fredric stared a moment, surprised by her breezy manner. Then, almost against his will, he smiled. She looked upward at the tree, lush with ripening fruit.
Oh, look at all that. We're going to have quite the harvest. Looks like another few weeks.
Fredric looked upward, nodding.
I have one just like it at my house. The nuts are incredible.
Are they? Well, I can't wait.
She smiled at him, and a slightly awkward silence followed as she waited for him to say something.
Did you come to see the Abbé?
Yes, I've brought a message from the palace.
Oh, I'll show you in.
He fell in step just behind her as she started toward the house. Halfway there, she paused.
Oh, what a beautiful horse.
Guinevere.
Vanessa smiled.
The fair one.
Yes, We're close companions.
As if on cue, Guinevere turned her head to watch them pass.
Ah, she's a-watching you.
Yes, she does that.
How cute.
Inside, in the entrance hall, Vanessa peered into the music room and turned back to Fredric with a conspiratorial gleam in her eye.
I found him.
Gesturing for him to follow, she stepped into the music room. Antonio was in the middle of conducting an imaginary ensemble. When Vanessa called his name, he stopped and frowned with annoyance. She gestured casually toward Fredric.
He's here.
Hello, Fredric.
Abbe?
Then to Vanessa.
Have you seen Paulina this morning?
The last I saw, she was in her room at her desk. Would you like to guess what she was doing?
All right, thank you.
Vanessa gave Fredric a brief smile and slipped out. He watched her go, then turned back to Antonio, a glimmer of amusement in his eyes.
That lady's quite something. I found her up in the tree out there.
I am not surprised.
I was. Who is she?
My doctor.
Your doctor? Is it legal for women to be doctors in Venice?
If she calls herself a nurse.
Oh.
You have something for me?
Fredric drew a folded paper from his pocket.
The prince is requesting a private performance tonight.
Fredric handed it over.
He's getting engaged.
Is he? To whom?
I'm not at liberty to say, but it will be good news for the city. You'll see why tonight.
Antonio nodded as he looked over the prince's message.
The prince's daughter will also be there.
How nice. I'll pick something extra special for the occasion.
Just then, Paulina entered with a sheet of music in hand. She was dressed in her usual gray, her gaze fixed on the page. When she looked up at the men, she stopped short.
Oh, I'll come back.
That's all right, Paulina. Come in, come in.
He gestured warmly. She crossed the room stiffly, her eyes fastening onto Fredric with unmistakable disdain before she turned to Antonio.
I can't decipher your scribbles here at the bottom,
she said, holding out the page.
Ah, yes. A, B, F, C sharp, and G. And that is a coat rest.
Paulina moved quickly to the small desk, making a deliberate arc around Fredric. Antonio, noting the gesture, watched her with concern.
Paulina, this is Fredric Österreich. He's a senior lieutenant to Prince Philip. Fredric, this is my assistant, Paulina Trevisana.
Fredric made a slight bow.
A pleasure, Signorina.
Paulina gave the barest nod.
Signore.
She leaned over the desk, quill in hand, but did not write. After a still moment, she lifted her gaze and found both men watching her. Then, with quiet finality, she set the quill down, gathered the music sheet, and left the room. Fredric watched her go, then turned to Antonio.
I remember you had asked me to look into her background. I forgot, I apologize. Do you still want me to?
Antonio shifted.
No, that's all right,
he said, waving a hand.
She's been doing good work. She's very precise. Yes, she's a little intense, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. She keeps to herself, which I respect. I don't need to know everything about someone to trust them. And she's been perfectly professional. So, no need to look into her. Not unless you think it's necessary?
Fredric's consideration was brief.
I'll ask Carboni about her tomorrow.
Antonio's answer came quick.
Thank you.
Fredric gave Antonio a polite bow.
I'll see you tonight.
And he departed. In the warm quiet of Paulina's upstairs quarters, Anna sat at the smaller of the two desks, her needle threading the final stitches through a finely embroidered veil. The late morning light spilled across the room's soft furnishings. At the faint sound of footsteps on the landing, Anna quickly tied off the thread and swept a cloth over her work, concealing it. Paulina entered without a word. She didn't look at her sister, but moved straight to the larger desk, sinking into the chair and dropping her head into her hands.
What happened?
Nothing. I just want to close my eyes for a moment.
Anna started toward her, but then hesitated, observing her sister cautiously.
How's your project coming?
It's finished.
Still bent over, Paulina didn't respond. Anna returned to her desk, lifted the cloth, and carefully removed the veil from its stand. Holding it behind her back, she stepped closer.
I need you to lift your head and keep your eyes closed.
Paulina did as asked. Anna reached forward, unfastened her sister's old veil, and replaced it with the new one. Light gray linen laced with delicately stitched pink flowers. She smoothed the fabric, letting it drape just so, and stood back to admire her work. At the doorway, Vanessa had appeared silently, leaning against the frame with quiet amusement.
Keep your eyes closed.
It's on top of my head. I can't see it anyway.
Vanessa smiled.
That's beautiful. Did you make that yourself, Anna?
Yes, ma'am.
Anna turned to Paulina.
Go look.
Paulina rose and stepped toward the mirror above the mantel. She caught sight of her reflection, and her expression lifted.
Oh, I love it.
Will you wear it?
Paulina glanced at Anna, then back at the mirror. Her smile lingered a moment longer, before slowly fading. Outside the house, Fredric descended the front steps to where Guinevere waited. He reached for her reins, his fingers resting there for a long moment. His thoughts were elsewhere. He looked back once toward the house. Then, with a muted breath, he mounted and turned her toward the road. Hooves struck the gravel road in rhythm as they rode off toward the city. Antonio set his violin and bow carefully on the wide rehearsal room table. Then he turned to face the dozen musicians before him, their various instruments held at rest. A few looked attentive and engaged, the rest less so.
Before I dismiss you, I want to inform you of a change. Until now, the Mantuan Court Orchestra has been asked for little more than agreeable music to fill the background of dinners and diversions. But those days are ending.
Antonio's gaze swept steadily across the orchestra.
This is our chance to show that Mantova can stand with the finest courts of Europe. Beginning next week, rehearsals will increase, until our sound is worthy not only of this court, but of...
Antonio's gaze dropped. A bottle, half full of rum-colored liquid, had come to rest beside the boot of the first cellist. Antonio looked from the bottle to the cellist. The musicians looked from the bottle to Antonio. Then, from the back row,
Ich nehm das. Was hatte?
Antonio lifted his gaze calmly to no one in particular.
Thank you for that. All right. Beginning next week, rehearsals will increase. We will meet more often until we reach the level expected of a royal ensemble.
Outside, in the Piazza Sordello, the afternoon sun bore down with heavy brightness. Fredric dismounted stiffly from his horse, tying Guinevere's reins to a nearby hitching post, and then rubbing his right shoulder with a faint wince. He glanced up at the building and paused. Then he reached into his pocket, drew out a treat, and offered it to his companion. He murmured something to her under his breath, lingering a moment longer than necessary before turning toward the entrance of the old brick building. He wasn't looking forward to what he was about to do. The rehearsal room was still now, the musicians gone. The quiet broken only by Antonio's coughing. He sat at the desk, scribbling notes. He forced himself to resume writing. Fredric entered the room quietly, his face calm.
Good afternoon, Abbé.
Antonio looked up.
It's warm today,
Fredric said, closing both rehearsal room doors with deliberate care.
Yes, quite warm.
Antonio watched him cautiously as he approached.
I did visit with Carboni today.
Fredric pulled up a chair and sat down before him, taking a peculiar pause before he spoke.
I met with him in private.
Go on.
There was an incident. 10 years ago, Duke Ferdinando had recently abandoned the city. Our first soldiers arrived not long after, and that early regiment wasn't well supervised. Some of the soldiers behaved very badly.
Antonio's eyes shifted away. He picked up a cloth and wiped his hands.
Where was she?
Fredric lowered his gaze briefly, then looked back up.
Not far from her home.
Antonio's expression darkened. He stood up, slowly.
I don't care to hear any more.
He moved away, retrieving a few scattered sheets from a music stand.
This is how your soldiers are taught to behave, like animals.
These men were not from our regiment. This wouldn't have happened under Prince Philip's command. They were court-martialed. If it had been up to the prince, they would have been executed.
Stop!
He shot Fredric a furious look, then returned to his chair. He sat silently, his jaw tight before he spoke again.
Sorry I came out here.
Please, don't say that.
Antonio sat silently for another moment, then began to cough. He leaned forward, pressing a hand to his ribs, gasping for breath. Fredric watched him, eyes full of concern.
The prince told me you have a breathing condition. Is
Yes.
that what?
Yes.
What can I do to help?
Antonio gave no response. Another cough shook him.
Would it help you to cool down?
Antonio looked over, eyes a bit dimmed.
Abbé? Abbé.
The garden bath was breathtaking. Marble arches framed a pool of clear blue water with flowering vines curling up the warm stone. Stained glass panes above cast colored light across the walls. Antonio sat chest-deep on the steps, his arms folded, shoulders tense. Fredric waded in slowly and took a seat a short distance away. In the dappled light, the deep scars on his chest and torso were impossible to miss. Antonio saw them, and his gaze lingered. His anger ebbed at once. Fredric glanced over.
Is the water too cold?
No, it's good.
Antonio tilted his head back, letting his eyes roam the space.
This place is incredible.
The prince restored all this in a year.
That's impossible.
Have you seen what he did with the Palazzo Te?
I'm restricted from visiting certain sites. That's one of them.
The church has forbidden you.
No, the school's board.
Fredric swatted at a bug buzzing near his ear.
They won't let you visit for a few risque paintings? Surely no such things exist in Venice.
Antonio gave a brief smile.
I think their objection has more to do with the history of the place than the art.
Really? Well, I've heard stories about Duke Federico's social activities there, and they are rather shocking, but goodness, that was almost 200 years ago. I think it's safe to go there now.
Antonio smiled again, and just then the small fly came his way. He reached for a swatter, set on a nearby ledge, and with one smooth stroke of his bowing arm, he got it. He looked oddly pleased with himself.
I do plan to slip in one of these days.
You should. Much of the art's been restored, and very beautifully.
I have to see the frescoes.
He looked over at Antonio, studying his face.
You look better.
Antonio took in a breath, deeper this time, then exhaled and gave a quiet nod. A quiet stretch passed between them as they dressed. The silence fell easy, companionable, until Antonio glanced over and caught sight of Fredric struggling with his coat. His right arm refused to fully lift up. Antonio quickly looked away.
Do you have family here?
Fredric shook his head.
I came with my wife, but I'm widowed now. My time here has been bittersweet.
Antonio gave him an understanding nod, then reached for his cross. Fredric watched as he fastened it around his neck.
Your life seems to have taken some unexpected turns.
Not really. Aside from coming here, I've stayed on the same path that was laid out for me a long time ago.
It seems to have served you well.
Antonio gave a small nod. Fredric slid his belt into place.
It must be good to know your purpose at a young age. I've yet to discover mine.
You still have time.
They stepped out into the hallway. Fredric cast a glance at Antonio's somber face.
I think your assistant is in a good place now.
Antonio didn't answer right away. His eyes drifted from Fredric to something in the distance.
Perhaps,
he said at last.
She's helping me. She's helping the prince. That much we know.
As Antonio played, Paulina entered the music room quietly, arms full of completed work. Without interrupting, she crossed to his desk and placed the stack in its usual spot. Her gaze lingered on him for a moment. He was completely absorbed, utterly unaware of her presence. She turned and slipped away. He looked up just as her figure vanished beyond the frame of the doorway, too late to acknowledge her or thank her. Crossing the room, he reached for the stack and began leafing through it. As always, precise, careful, every line crisp. He had felt a kind of recognition almost from the beginning, though he hadn't known why. Now he did. His gaze drifted toward the small desk in the corner, the copyist's place. He had banished her to her room upstairs, essentially, not because she lacked the skill, but because she was female, and, if he was honest, because she was beautiful. He had thought of letting her share the room with him. Each time the notion surfaced and then dissolved. Even in his own house, appearances mattered. His reputation had taken years to build, and he would not let rumor undo it. He took a moment, then he raised his violin and bow and continued his playing.